A federal judge has something to say about the health care reform law. You're going to find out what in today's broadcast. I'm Carl Azus. CNN Student News starts right now. First up, though, the federal government will have more of a say in some of the foods you get in school. President Obama signed a new law yesterday that will overhaul child nutrition standards. This is part of First Lady Michelle Obama's Let's Move program, which aims to fight childhood obesity. During the signing ceremony at a Washington area elementary school, the president said this law is about giving our kids the healthy futures they deserve. Here's some of what's in the new law, the ingredients of it, if you will. The government will have more authority to set standards for what's sold in vending machines on school grounds. Schools will have to meet government health guidelines, and poorer areas will get more money to help pay for free meals. All told, this bill comes with a price tag of $4.5 billion. Some Democrats didn't like the bill because part of the money to pay for it was going to be taken out of other programs that help provide food to poorer Americans. There was also some concern about schools being able to pay for healthier foods. They'll be getting more money from the government in order to help make up those costs. Meanwhile, a federal judge says that a main part of President Obama's health care reform law is unconstitutional. This is about the individual mandate. What is the individual mandate? It's the part of the law that requires most Americans to buy health insurance by 2014. And if they don't buy it, they could be fined. This federal judge says, quote, an individual's personal decision to purchase health insurance is beyond the historical reach of the U.S. Constitution. President Obama signed the health care reform bill into law back in March. And a lot of people say it's the biggest accomplishment of his time in office. Other judges have ruled that the individual mandate is constitutional, and the government is planning to appeal this week's ruling. The case could end up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Cold, snow, and lots of it. That's the forecast for a lot of the U.S. this week. The storm that's been blanketing the Midwest is moving east with high winds and low temperatures stretching from New England all the way down to Florida. That's caused some problems for travelers, as you might imagine. More than 1,700 flights were canceled Sunday, leaving people stranded. Officials said there were fewer delays yesterday. In Washington state, the precipitation isn't frozen, but it's still causing serious problems, as you can see. The area is fighting through mudslides and also flooding from heavy rain. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has offered to help out with all of this.
Today's shout out goes out to Mr. Merrill's social studies classes at Carter G. Woodson Middle School in Chicago, Illinois. What type of calendar is used by most of the Western world? If you think you know it, then shout it out. Is it Arabian, Gregorian, Julian, or Hippocratic? You've got 3 seconds. Go. We use a Gregorian calendar named after Pope Gregory the 13th. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
Well, this Gregorian calendar year is coming to an end. Before that happens, though, some of our reporters are looking back at some of the biggest stories of 2010. We kick things off with Diana Magnay.
I'm Diana Magnay, and in May 2010, I was in Greece whilst European leaders finalised their bailout to rescue Greece from its debts, when rocks and riot police dictated the course of the financial markets, and where the real impact of speculation in government debt could be seen on the faces of the people on the streets.
I'm Reza Sayah here at the Jinnah supermarket in Islamabad, Pakistan. The biggest story here this year, not even close. The floods. The worst natural disaster anywhere in recent memory. Weeks of monsoon rains covered a fifth of Pakistan. 20 million people affected.
I'm Fred Pleitgen, and in April of 2010, I reported from Poland, where a tragic plane crash killed the country's president, the first lady, and much of the political leadership. In this time of crisis, this nation that's endured so much over the years showed great sorrow, but also great character.
I'm David Mattingly outside CNN Center here in Atlanta. By far the biggest event that I was a part of this year was the Gulf oil spill, and I had a front row seat covering many of the devastating days that came with that spill. One of the most memorable was when the oil first hit the marshes in Louisiana. That was truly an upsetting day because it meant the end of so many livelihoods for that season. Then the oil hit the Gulf beaches in Pensacola. That was also a very strong moment as we saw hundreds of people come down to the beach. They stood at the edge of the waters where the oil had hit. No one was talking, people just looking. It was like there was a death in the family. And that is a sense of loss that I know so many people will not easily get over.
No, they won't. What do you think were the biggest headlines from 2010? Don't tell us yet. We're going to be looking at more top stories on Friday, so make your guesses and then tune in at the end of the week to see if we picked the same ones.
Is this legit? The word privacy does not appear in the U.S. Constitution or its amendments. This is true, although courts have ruled that in some situations, people can expect to have privacy.
That expectation of privacy applies in certain places, like your home. What about the internet? The courts are still figuring out how to deal with privacy online. The internet, I've heard characterized as the Wild West. There is one thing that's certain. Every time you log on, you leave a mark on the cyber world, and other people are watching. Chad Myers explains why and why some folks are concerned about it.
Did you know that companies you've never heard of track every website you visit and keep a record of everything you do online? That's right. Everybody who visits the internet has a digital fingerprint, a unique profile that's built by these specialized companies.
We actually don't really know who their clients are. So they may be selling this technology to banks, they may be selling it to online advertising companies, and that's the bigger concern.
Peter Eckersley is a technologist with the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a digital civil liberties group that defends people's rights on the internet. He says digital fingerprinting is a violation of every aspect of your privacy.
You should have the right to read what you want in private without someone looking over your shoulder reading along with you. Without, as you pick up a magazine to read it, you don't want the magazine to be reading you.
Recently, the FTC weighed in on this issue, calling for a do not track system, like a do not call system. But Eckersley says the technology is already there to put this button on your browser. But he says it won't happen until Congress creates a whole new set of rules to protect the consumer.
I think the scary thing is people don't understand what's out there about them personally that's linked to their online digital fingerprint.
Don Jackson, the director of threat intelligence for SecureWorks, says digital fingerprints are used for personalized marketing and advertising campaigns and customized political messages. But he says there's also a danger that they will be used with malicious intent.
What if I'm at a wireless place like this and people are just everywhere and everybody's logged in? Can that guy right there be tracked?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, he is being tracked right now. So everything you do online, if you're using a public website or any kind of online service, they're tracking everything that you're doing.
Can data be wrong? Can people get something incorrect, and is it a big deal?
Yes. So your fingerprint can be manipulated by criminals. That's just one way it can be wrong. Another way it can be wrong is that it's been cross-linked. There's really no mechanism to correct that. So you can't remove the information. There's currently no channel, no way to file a complaint.
Security experts are concerned that right now there's no practical way to stop companies from using this technology. And that as scary as that is, the best defense is to be aware that everything you do online is being watched.
Keep your antivirus up to date, keep your computer up to date. But for the most part, once the information leaves your computer, at least one person, that's the website that you're visiting, can track it.
Chad Myers, CNN, Atlanta.
We talked earlier about the cold temperatures around the country. Doesn't sound like the perfect time for a swim, but these frosty folks are freezing for a reason. It's the annual Polar Plunge, and it raises money for the Special Olympics. Participants had to get $100 in pledges and be willing to at least dip a toe in the water. The idea might sound chilling to some people, but it's a great way to help others and a special memory that is frozen in time. Such an ice story. We're going to chill out for a little while. We will be back tomorrow with more CNN student news, and we hope to see you then. Bye now.